Hello everybody, thanks for joining me today for ICAD's Day 27 and 28. I will start off with just a plain index card that has not been gessoed or treated in any way, and I'm gonna stamp some stamps all over using different variety of stamps and different ink pads that I have laying around. I'm just trying to get some texture basically in the background and just kind of have some interest going on right there. I'm sticking with blues and pinks and yellows for the most part. So here I'm taking my white gesso and I am trying to knock all of that stamping all the way into the background so that you see it but you don't really see it, and then I can start the main focal images. This is a stamp set by Recollections, which is a Michael's brand, and I'm using that with some Brillance ink in Pearlescent Olive, I think it's called. Just adding again some more texture and interest to the card. And here's what that looks like. So here I have a couple pieces of ephemera that I'm kind of playing around with, trying to decide what will work on the page and what won't. I'm gonna glue that glittery, I don't know what it is, a branch or whatever. I'm using it to look like sort of a tree branch. I'm gonna glue that down and then cut it. And I want to hang this bird cage. I traced out this bird cage and then cut it out and painted it with gold paint. And I want to use that to hang from the tree branch. So I'm going to take this Hampton Art stamp set, and it has this big bird in it, and I'm going to stamp that with Vintage Photo Distress ink. So it looks like he's kind of chilling in the inside of the bird cage. And I'm kind of messing around with different options here. I settle on a Tim Holtz stamp set, Nature's Element. It has this scrolly design in it, and I'm going to use that with my dark cherry color box Archival ink. And then I realized that the bird needs to not be floating, and so I get a scrap sheet of a scrap piece of sheet music, and I make him a perch. So he's actually standing on something inside that bird cage. And then I add some thread so that the bird cage has the look of hanging from that tree branch, that glittery tree branch. And then I'm going to glue this down with Elmers glue because I had it on hand and because it's easy and less messy than the other glue options that I have. And then to tack that gold thread down, I'm just going to use Glossy Accents. And I'm going to take a Spectrum Noir marker. It's an alcohol marker. I think it's EB6, and color in the perch. And here I take some Distress Glaze. What it is it's a sealer for any of the Distress inks. If you don't seal Distress ink, it will move with any wet medium. So you take this Distress Glaze, you put very minimal amount on over wherever you have Distress ink, and then you take a dry, clean cloth and you buff it out, and then it has been sealed. So then you can go and use other mediums on top of that and not have to worry about it moving. So I just took that Spectrum Noir marker and colored in the branch to darken it a bit. And then I decided that the bird cage was too plain, so I'm taking this text stamp with Cocoa Dye Ink Pad by Ranger and adding that to the bird cage. And then I'm using my fine tip Posca paint pen in the pink color just to outline the bird cage and the branch. I decided not to go with black or brown, which would be a normal, typical outline color. I don't know why, but I thought pink would be good, so that's what I did. And then this is the color box, Dark Cherry. I'm just going around the whole edge of the card with that ink pad. And then here I use my beautiful stamp to add that word back in to the background, which ends up not being super necessary because I go over it soon, you'll see. And here I'm taking a brown Posca paint pen and going around the outline of the bird. And here is where I take the gesso, watered down a bit, and I'm going to knock back all of the background behind the bird cage and the tree, and just knock it back. I felt like it was coming out too busy and confusing, and so gesso is the perfect way to kind of mute that all out and knock it back a bit. And that's what that looks like now. And I did get some gesso on some of that tree branch, so I'm just going back with the alcohol marker to fill that in. And I'm taking some Ceram Coat by Deco Art in Sunbright Yellow with a Stampin' Up! Flowers stamp to add some detail to the background that isn't going to be too busy. Just some flowers in the background. And a index card to mop up that yellow paint. I'll probably use that in the next ICAD or so. And then this is scrapbook paper. It has like a rose print on it, and it's in light pink colors. And I'm gonna stamp from that Hampton Art stamp set. I'm gonna stamp the saying "Fly Away." I'm pretty sure I used the Cocoa dye ink pad to stamp that, and then I go around, I tear that out and I go around it with the Dark Cherry ink pad, and I also go around the edge of the card again. And I'm going to take Glossy Accent to glue down the Fly Away saying. And that's it, folks. There you have it. ICAD number 27, up close. So for day 28, I start with a mop-up card. I'd already had some of this texture and paint on it, so I decided to go in. This is a homemade stencil, and I'm going to use it to add that texture some more. And then some vintage photo distress ink because I had it out and it sort of looked like it would go with the colors already on the card. And I decide I'm going to practice drawing faces because I need to, and why not share that journey with you guys? So here I am. I'm gonna fuss and fuss with drawing this out. She doesn't end up perfect. I'm okay with that. I'm still trying to get the hang of all of the facial features, especially the nose, which you'll see later. So yeah, this is a practice for me. ICAD is a perfect way to practice things that you aren't totally comfortable with. It's a small enough card and you don't have to worry about it being perfect. I'm just sharing it with you guys. And I'll take some flesh colored paint by Deco Art and lay down the base for her face and neck. And I want you guys to know I do dry between all of these different layers. I just cut that out of my videos so that you don't have to watch all of that boring stuff. So that's important though, because I don't want you to ruin your pens or markers or anything by going over them while the first layer is wet, because that will ruin them, so be careful. This is Bombay India ink in the color Sepia. I just use it to fill in her hair. And then I'm taking this Pelican Techno Liner. I got this from the Grumbacher mystery box. I won one of them. Every Monday they have a giveaway of I think 5 mystery boxes, and one Monday I won. And so this was one of the many things that was in there, and I love that Techno Liner. It's thin, it seems to be permanent with any other medium that I put over it, and it's really nice. I like it a lot. It's good for fine details. So, and now I'm taking my Spectrum Noir markers. These are alcohol markers. My husband got them for me for Christmas, and I hardly ever use them, so I am trying to incorporate them into my art. And I decided to do the shading and coloring of her face with these markers. I did list them. If you want them, which ones I used, just go back to where I listed them and pause the video. It's probably the best way to do it, or you can email me or something and I will give you the numbers to the markers I used. And now I'm taking my white gesso to add the highlights. I find that the best way to do the faces for me, after watching videos and videos and videos of other people make beautiful faces and me not understand where the shadows and stuff fall, I watch some makeup videos, sometimes some makeup people here on YouTube, and they do contouring and highlighting, and that to me is where I started to figure out where to put shadows and highlights on faces when I paint them. So if that helps you, then I'm glad to have helped you. But that, to me, that was the way I started to understand it, so maybe that'll help somebody. So I'm adding more detail with my Pelican Techno Liner, thickening the upper lash line, filling in the black pupil of her eye, just details in her hair, and so on and so forth. I'll fuss with her a lot, adding details, adding more color. In a while you'll see that I mess with her nose because I don't like it, that kind of thing. Filling in the whites of her eyes, so I'm using my fine tip Posca paint pens. Yep, and here's where I start to try to rework her nose. It still doesn't come out the way I'd like, but I'm trying, and practice makes perfect. So yeah, I fuss with her a lot. It's probably because I am not super confident with faces, and I'm also paranoid that everybody is watching me create one, but in the end, I do settle on a final result, and I think she turned out pretty good. She's not perfect by any means, and that's why I choose the quote that I choose for my piece, but I'm okay with that. She can't be perfect if I don't try, right? I'm just taking some of that Bombay India ink and sepia to add some eyebrows. Adding more detail with my Pelican Techno Liner. And I think I'm done fussing with her. So I'm going to move on, and now the background just seems far too busy. So I'm going to knock it back with gesso, and you'll see that the gesso doesn't come off looking too white because it's mixing with that distress ink that I used on the background already. So it's coming off a little brownish, creamish, tannish, and that's okay. I just wanted to mostly mute that pattern, that alligator pattern from my homemade stencil. And I'm going to add some more distress ink to color the background so it's not so plain looking. And I move that around with a damp baby wipe. And here is some Bombay India ink in the color Aqua. I'm going to use that for her shirt since I'm using the colors that were already on this mop-up page as inspiration. I chose that color for her shirt. And then that homemade stamp from earlier, I'm going to use that with a baby wipe to pull up some of that color and add that texture into her shirt. And then filling in with details again with my Techno liner and highlights with my white Posca pen. And this is another stamp from a garage sale. I know I say that a lot, and I'm sorry that I don't know where these stamps came from, but I literally bought like 200 stamps in this big old binder from somebody at a garage sale, and it was like $8 for all these stamps, and they don't have any packaging or anything with them, so I don't know where they're from. They're just miscellaneous stamps that I like the size of them because they're smaller and I can use them and access them pretty quickly. So sorry I don't know where they're from, but that's why. And I'm taking this violet colored drawing ink. It's Koi Noir. I don't know if I'm saying that right. This also came in that Grumbacher mystery box giveaway that I was talking about earlier, where I got my pelican pen, and so I try to incorporate that from time to time into my mixed media. And I just wanted the flowers to have a touch of color and another pop of color somewhere on the page. And I'm going to take my Distress Glaze like I did in the previous card and go over the image to seal it all down. That drawing ink is also not permanent, so it'll help make that permanent as well. And then this is my homemade words and sayings sheet that I printed off my computer, and then I took clear gesso and went over all of that so it's sealed down. I chose the words perfectly imperfect because I feel like my girl turned out perfectly imperfect. I think she's perfect because I'm trying, and there's parts of her that I really, really like, and she's not perfect in a lot of aspects also. So I thought that saying was perfect. It was perfectly imperfect. Anyways, that's kind of confusing. And I'm gonna go and fill that in so it's not white with the aqua colored Bombay ink, and then outline it with both my Spectrum Noir and Posca paint pens. And then this is Archival chalk ink by Versamagic in turquoise, and I'm gonna outline the whole card in that, and she is done. So yeah, there you have it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be back soon with the next couple days videos. And please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, guys.